Students, in the previous video lecture, we have learned definition of thermal conductivity, and we have defined even H is equal to K A delta theta divided by L, where delta theta is change in the temperature, A is area of cross section of the rod, and K is thermal conductivity, L is length of the rod. From here you can write H is equal to delta theta divided by L by Ka. This is delta theta divided by R. I'm just writing this as R, where R is equal to this R, which I am writing here is R equal to L divided by Ka, called thermal resistance. It is called thermal resistance of the given material. So what does thermal resistance mean? Say you are considering a rod. This has area of cross section A and it has length L. Here temperature is theta 1, here temperature is theta 2. This has thermal conductivity K, which is the natural property of the material. Every property has its own value of thermal conductivity. Likewise, every material have its own property of resistance, just like how a resistor is used in electric current. Here in the flow of heat current, where here H is heat current. H is heat current. H can be simply written as Q divided by T, which is heat transferred with respect to time taken. Now, when the heat is flowing through this material, because of its thermal conductivity and resistance, this will offer some resistance. Every material has its own resistance, and this resistance which opposes the flow of heat is called thermal resistance. And this thermal resistance R is simply written as L divided by Ka. Okay. Now, how to remember this these equations? We'll just have one analogous comparisons between electric current and heat current. We know from Ohm's law. Ohm's law in electric current. V is equal to IR. In 10th standard, you will be learning this. Ohm's law, V is equal to IR, where I is equal to V divided by R. This V can be potential difference. I is electric current. I is electric current, and I is equal to Q divided by T, charge by time. Delta V is potential difference, and R is equal to electrical resistance. R is equal to electrical resistance. Similar to this, we also have thermal resistance, that is, in thermal physics, we can write H is equal to delta theta divided by R, where H is equal to heat current. Heat current H is equal to heat flown divided by time taken. Similarly, delta theta is equal to temperature difference, and R is equal to thermal resistance. Thermal resistance R is equal to L divided by A into K. This is equation for thermal resistance, and unit of thermal resistance is Kelvin per watt. Unit of thermal resistance is Kelvin per watt, and dimensional formula of thermal resistance is m power minus 1, L power minus 2, T power 3, and theta. Theta is Kelvin. So this is dimensional formula and unit of thermal resistance. Just like how electrical resistance work in electric current, in the same way thermal resistance work in thermal physics. Students, let us solve some problems based on the concepts which we have discussed in heat transfer. The temperature of two ends A and B of a rod of length. Length of the rod is given 25 centimeter. This is 25 into 10 power minus 2 meter. And circular cross-sectional area 25 centimeter and circular cross section are 100 degrees Celsius and 0 degrees Celsius. Theta 1 is equal to 100 degrees Celsius. Theta 2 is equal to 0 degrees Celsius. In the steady state, find the temperature at a part 10 centimeter from end of B. Ignore loss of heat from curved surface of the body. Now what it is being given, you have a rod like this. And this total rod is 25 centimeter. And now what you are asked, in the steady state, find the temperature at a point 10 centimeter from end B. This is A and this is B. And somewhere here it is 12.5. This is 10 centimeter. This length is 10 centimeter. If this length is 10 centimeter, then obviously this should be 15 centimeter. You want to find out temperature at this position. I name this as like this position, I name it as C. You should find out temperature at C. Temperature at A, let us consider it as 100 degrees Celsius. Temperature at B, let us consider it as 0 degrees Celsius. You want to now find out temperature at C. Now what actually happens is, whenever heat current is flowing through this wire, whatever the current is entering into this C, same current should leave from C. Okay, from conservation of energy, heat entering is equal to heat leaving. Whatever amount of heat is entering into this position C, same amount of heat will be leaving from C to B. So therefore, heat flown from A to C should be equal to heat flown from C to B. This is at steady state. At steady state, in the sense, we are avoiding transfer of heat energy from this material to the surroundings. Practically, there will be some loss of heat energy from rod to surroundings, but we are avoiding that. So at steady state, heat transfer is taking place. Whatever heat goes from A to C, same amount of heat is transferring from C to B. Now we already have equation for heat. H is equal to K A delta theta divided by L, right? This is the equation which we need to use here. Now HAC is equal to thermal conductivity of the material, area of cross section, delta theta, that is 100, minus temperature at C, I am considering it as Tc, divided by what is length of the material, 15 centimeter. From C to B, material is the same, so K will be remained same. Area of cross section is also same, and temperature at C is Tc minus temperature at B is 0, divided by length is 10 centimeter. Ka gets cancelled, centimeter gets cancelled, and here it will be 2 and here it will be 3. This is 100 minus Tc into 2 is equal to 3 Tc. That is 200 is equal to 3 Tc, and this comes to the other side plus 2 Tc. This gives you Tc is equal to 200 divided by 5, which is equal to 40. So temperature at C is equal to 40 degrees Celsius. That's how you can use concept of thermal conductivity, and you can find out temperature at any position of the rod using the same concept. Heat flow will be remained constant throughout the material at steady state. In the previous problem, thermal conductivity of the material is constant, but in this problem, thermal conductivity of material is not constant. You have a rod of length L with sides fully insulated, is made up of material whose thermal conductivity K, and that thermal conductivity K varies as K is equal to alpha divided by T, where alpha is some constant. The ends of the rod are at temperature T1 and T2. It is mentioned T2 is greater than T1. Find the rate of heat flow per unit area of rod. You want to find out rate of heat flow per unit area of the rod. Now let me consider a rod. Let me consider this is a rod, and here temperature is T2 and here temperature is T1. T2 is greater than T1. Now there will be some amount of heat flown through this material, and as the thermal conductivity is variable with respect to temperature, I am considering like this length is dx. This is the length which is dx. Now in this dx length, there will be some amount of heat transfer, and that heat transfer, like the temperature difference from here to here is D capital T. Total temperature difference is T2 minus T1. But in this case, temperature difference for this very small element, this is element of rod. This is element of the rod. Now, from this very small element, heat flow, that is dH, is equal to K A D capital T divided by dx. dH, this equation already we know. Very small amount of heat flowing through this very small elemental area, it is dH. That is equal to K, thermal conductivity of this element. A is area of cross section, that remains same. Dx is the width of this element and dt is the temperature difference. As we know, K is given as alpha by T. I'll just write this as dH is equal to, what is K written as? K is alpha by capital T into A into dt divided by dx. What you are supposed to find the rate of heat flow per unit area of rod. I want to find out rate of heat flow per unit area of rod. That means H divided by A is equal to how much? This is what you are supposed to find. In order to find out rate of heat flow, I'll just integrate this above equation. We have dH is equal to A alpha into dt divided by dx into 1 by capital T. Okay. Now integration dH is equal to H. That is, in order to find out the total heat transferred, I'll just integrate this. So integration dH is H, which is A constant, alpha is constant, remained is integration dt divided by dx into 1 by capital T. Okay. Now dx is variable with respect to position. I can write H. I can write it as H dx. I can bring it here into dx is equal to A into alpha into integration 1 by T into dt. H into, what is integration dx? Integration dx is L, because such all elements if you add, what do you get? You will get total length of the rod, which is L. This is A alpha 1 by T integration 1 by x dx is equal to log x. So here 1 by T integration dt will be equal to log of capital T, and temperature is varying from where to where, from temperature T2 to T1. So that gives you T2 T1. So H into L divided by A is equal to log of temperature T1 minus log of temperature T2. Upper limit first I am substituting in place of T, that is T1, lower limit, and then I am substituting in place of T2. Log A minus log B, that is log of A by B, it is T1 divided by T2, which is equal to HL divided by A. You are supposed to find out H by A, which is 1 divided by L. Of course, here you have A into alpha. A is coming here, alpha is left over here, and this is alpha divided by L into log of T1 divided by T2. This is the final expression, which is rate of heat flow. Students, conduction is the process where heat transfer takes place through physical contact. But in convection, it is not like that. Actual molecules transfer heat energy. In the animation which is provided in the slide, at the bottom here in the glass, there is some water, and some color is being mixed over here at the bottom. When you are providing heat energy, the water at the bottom gets heated up, and that water which is heated up, its volume increases. As volume increases, its density decreases, so that rises up. Clearly you could see in the animation the violet color, like the water with violet color, it is being raised up. So the molecules from the center, as their volume increases, they rise up, and other water from the top will be occupying the space of the volume which is raised up. This is the process of convection, where liquid molecules will be changing their position from bottom to top, and the top molecules will be replacing the bottom molecules. This is the process of convection. And in convection, there are two types. It is natural convection or free convection, and the other is forced convection. In the case of natural convection, these fluid particles will be moving only due to temperature difference. There is no other effect. Only due to temperature difference, if the molecules are transferred from one region to another region, that is said to be as natural convection or free convection. Generally, in our daily life, free convection takes place through air. Like we will be fixing ventilators at top of the roof, like near to the top of the roof. What actually happens is, when air get heated up, its volume increases and its density decreases, and that liquid rises up, like that fluid, that air which is with hot, which is with greater temperature, have usually less density. That less denser air rises up. So hot air goes up, cold air comes down, and the hot air which is going up due to the process of convection, they will be going out from the room through ventilators and as well as windows. So that is natural convection taking place in our daily life. And remember, hot air rises by natural convection. Sea breeze, land breeze, trade winds, monsoons, etc. These all are examples of free convection. Because of actual motion of the molecules, heat transfer takes place. In natural convection, gravity plays major role. Gravity plays an important role, and it always takes place vertically, carrying the heat upward. So because gravitational force is present over throughout the universe, definitely on the surface of the earth, gravitational force plays major role. So therefore, in the natural convection, mostly the heat will be transferred in upward direction. Greater denser molecules come down. Greater denser molecules come down because of gravitational force, it pulls it downward. Natural convection cannot take place in gravity free space. It does not happen in gravity free space. You need to remember that. So in orbiting satellite or in a freely falling lift, natural convection process does not take place. Ventilators are placed below the roof, allow hot air to escape. That is one example which I already discussed. And chimney in the kitchen also works with the same principle. This is how convection takes place in case of fluids. And other type of convection, that is forced convection. Forced convection is if the fluid particles are forced to move by an external agent like fan or by a blower or by a pump. Such type of convection is called forced convection. This does not happen naturally. Forced convections are because of the external agent. And convection coefficient. So forced convection, in forced convection, the rate of heat flow is proportional to the surface area. That means H is proportional to area of cross section and temperature difference delta theta. And from here, if I remove this proportionality constant, I should write H is equal to, like H is equal to capital Q divided by T, which is A delta theta into some H, where this H is called coefficient of convection. H is called coefficient of convection. Coefficient of convection H can be written as Q divided by T by A into delta theta. This is equation for coefficient of convection. And this takes place only for forced convections. This is what actually takes place in case of forced convection. So radiation is the process of transmission of heat from one place to other without any material medium. It is the fastest process of heat transmission. So usually radiation takes place in vacuum also. It does not mean that radiation does not take place in air or liquid. Radiation do takes place in solid in liquids and as well as solids also, but in vacuum even heat transfer takes place. That is called radiation. If heat is transferring through a solid, it should be called as conduction. So thermal radiation, thermal mean heat, radiation mean the electromagnetic waves which transfer heat energy are said to be as thermal radiations. So heat energy transferred by means of electromagnetic waves is called thermal radiation. So what are the properties of thermal radiations? So thermal radiations has greater wavelength. These are electromagnetic radiations. And usually the wavelength of electromagnetic radiations are varied from 800 nanometer to 4 lakh nanometer, and this occupies infrared region of electromagnetic spectrum. So in 10th class you will be learning about electromagnetic spectrum, cosmic rays, gamma rays, ultraviolet, visible, infrared. In the infrared region, these thermal radiations take place. Velocity of thermal radiations is 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second. These are equal to velocity of the light. All electromagnetic waves travel with same velocity. The intensity of radiant energy absorbed like obeys inverse square law. Intensity is inversely proportional to intensity of radiation is inversely proportional to distance whole square. So intensity transferred is inversely proportional to square of the separation from where you are finding out intensity. Like for example, you have a hot body. This is hot body. This hot body will release radiations. This hot body will release radiations. So when the hot body is releasing radiations, intensity at this point is I1, intensity at this point is I2. Distance from here to here, let me consider it as D1. Distance from here to here, I will be considering it as D2. Intensity I1 is directly proportional to D1 square. Intensity I2 is directly proportional to D2 square. This is how intensity variation takes place with the distance from the material. Yeah. Students, let me take a container. This is a cup where you are taking some coffee in this. This is a cup of coffee. Now, this is hot. Usually it is at temperature θ1. Okay, this is hot coffee. Now it is at temperature θ1. Room temperature is θ2. Room temperature usually it will be less than that of hot coffee, right? Room temperature usually it is 27 degrees Celsius, but the hot coffee temperature is quite greater than that of 27 degrees Celsius. So when you are taking a hot cup of coffee and if you place it in the room temperature, what would happen? Definitely after some time heat transfer takes place, like heat will be flowing from coffee to the surroundings. From coffee to surroundings. So that heat transferred with respect to time. So how much, like if you are leaving that hot coffee for long duration, more is the time it is placed in the surrounding region, more amount of heat transfer takes place. So simply I can write heat transfer is directly proportional to delta theta, where delta theta is equal to θ1 minus θ2. Now how do you write this delta theta? Delta theta is equal to temperature of hot body minus temperature of surroundings. If the temperature difference between hot body and the surroundings is very high, in such cases heat transfer will be very large. So therefore I can simply write H is equal to, I am removing this proportionality constant, I will write it as K into delta theta, where delta theta is K into θ1 minus θ2. Okay. Now what is this H written as? H is equal to Q divided by time taken T, which is equal to K into θ1 minus θ2. And this Q can also be written as M S into delta theta divided by T, which is equal to K into θ1 minus θ2. Okay. So this is Q into delta theta. Now I can write delta theta divided by delta T is equal to K divided by EMS into θ1 minus θ2. And what is happening here? Temperature of the substance undergo decreases. So therefore, here you should put one negative sign. Negative sign indicate temperature of hot body decreases with time. Yeah, students, we have got an equation where Q by T, which is equal to K into θ1 minus θ2, where Q is ms delta theta divided by delta T, which is equal to K into theta 1 minus theta 2. And this is delta theta divided by delta T minus is equal to K into theta 1 minus theta 2 divided by ms. This negative sign indicate temperature of hot body decreases. Delta theta is equal to decrease in temperature of hot body. Hot body, delta T is time interval. So from this you can simply write like the equation which is being derived here. It is delta theta divided by delta T is equal to minus K divided by ms into theta 1 minus theta 2. And this is equation for Newton's law of cooling. So Newton's law of cooling states that rate of heat flow is directly proportional to temperature difference of hot body with surroundings. Temperature difference of hot body with surroundings. So this is equation for Newton's law of cooling. So as hot body is continuously losing the temperature of hot body is not remained same. So that is theta 1 is variable because it changes. Therefore, in the formula which we have, that is d theta divided by dt is equal to minus K by ms into theta minus theta of surroundings. This is the formula which we have. Here I can take this theta which is equal to average of two temperatures, where theta 1 and theta 2 is initial and final temperatures of hot body during time t. So if we solve one problem, then it will be clear to you. You don't worry about it. So just instead of theta, as the body is continuously losing some heat energy, its temperature decreases. Therefore, we will be taking average of the temperature theta 1 plus theta 2 by 2. So finally, that gives you this equation. D theta by dt is equal to, where K is some constant, theta 1 plus theta 2 by 2 minus theta s. And this d theta by dt is called rate of cooling of the substance. Limitations are the excess of temperature, that means theta minus theta naught, where theta is equal to temperature of hot body and theta naught is equal to temperature of surroundings. Theta minus theta naught must not be large. That means theta minus theta naught, that means temperature of the hot body and the temperature of the surroundings, it should be in the range of 30 to 35 degrees only. It should not be much greater difference. Temperature difference should be nearly in the range of 30 to 35 degrees Celsius. This is one. Next is Newton's law of cooling is a special case of Stefan's law. This law can be derived from Stefan's law. That is one more limitation. And if you plot graph for rate of cooling with respect to temperature difference, you will be getting a straight line because R is directly proportional to theta minus theta naught. On x-axis, you are taking theta minus theta naught, and R is rate of heat transfer. R is equal to rate of cooling. Rate of cooling is directly proportional to temperature difference. So you are getting a straight line graph. You will be getting a straight line graph. So these are the limitations of Newton's law of cooling. Yeah. A body cools from 80 degrees Celsius to 50 degrees Celsius in 5 minutes. Calculate the time it takes to cool from 60 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. The temperature of surroundings is 20 degrees Celsius. So theta naught, it is equal to 20 degrees Celsius. Initially, temperature of the body is 80 degrees Celsius. From 80 degrees Celsius, it has been decreased to 50 degrees Celsius in 5 minutes. I want to now find out from 60 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius, it takes how much time to decrease from 60 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. And temperature of the surroundings is given 20 degrees Celsius. Now we will be using law of cooling, Newton's law of cooling. What does it state? That is delta theta divided by delta T is equal to some constant K into theta minus theta naught. And what about this theta? This theta, you should write it as average of theta 1 plus theta 2 divided by 2 minus temperature of the surroundings. This is the equation which you need to use. Okay. Now what is delta theta? Delta theta is temperature difference, that is 80 minus 50. This is taking how much time? 5 minutes. Is equal to K into hot body. Initially it is at 80 degrees Celsius, but finally it is 50 degrees Celsius. So you need to take average of those all. 80 plus 50 divided by 2 minus what is temperature of the surroundings, that is 20. This is 80 minus 50, it is 30 divided by 5 minute is equal to some constant K into 80 plus 50, that is 130 minus 2 to 40 divided by 2. So what is the equation? Final equation is 30 divided by 5 minute is equal to some K into 130 minus 40, it is 90 divided by 2. This is equation number 1. Now let us take the second conditions where theta temperatures are from 60 and 30. So that is for second case. For second decrease in temperature, you can write 60 minus 30 divided by some time taken T is equal to K into 60 plus 30 divided by 2 minus temperature of the surroundings is 20. 60 minus 30 is 30 divided by T is equal to K into 60 minus 30 is 60 plus 30 is 90, 90 by 2 minus 2 to 4, 40 divided by 2, which is equal to K into 90 minus 40, that is 50 divided by 2. That's equation number 2. It is 30 divided by T is equal to K into 50 divided by 2. That is equation number 2. Now let us divide equation 1 and equation 2. That gives you for 30 divided by 5 minute by 30 divided by T is equal to K into 90 by 2 by K into 50 by 2. By 2 gets cancelled. K and K gets cancelled. 30 gets cancelled. T goes to numerator. T by 5 minute is equal to 90 divided by 50. 0 gets cancelled. This gives you T is equal to 9 minute. 5 and 5 gets cancelled. This gives you 9 minutes. So in order to decrease the temperature from 60 degrees to 30 degrees, it is taking 9 minutes. So therefore, rate of heat transfer is exponential decrease. Remember that.